What's going on, guys, and welcome back to AskGSM episode 380 here today for Wednesday, March 10th, 2021. I am Graham GSM Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well. If you want to send in a question to the show, you could do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/gram.gsm.matthews. Leave a comment on the post that I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section on this very video. I'll include your question in next week's edition. I'm on a very short time constraint here today, unfortunately, so we got to breeze through these questions. And you guys sent in a lot of good questions this week, too. As many as usual. Every episode is great for all your great questions. But I will say this before we get started. Check out my exclusive interview right now with WWE NXT superstar, the number one contender of the NXT Championship, and arguably the greatest NXT champion of all time. Sorry, Finn Balor. Adam Cole. It's up right now here on the channel. It's going up in article form later today on dailyddt.com. So check that out. More interviews to come here to the channel in the days and weeks to come, so keep an eye out for those. But yeah, check out that interview. It was a really fun one. So let's get started here first with Connor from YouTube. Their question was, he said, I changed accounts to something easier to pronounce from my Gaelic hurling. It was an Irish sports reference, he said, that account last week. So his question was, should Tully Blanchard and Jake Roberts be taking the kind of bumps they're taking? Maybe it's because I'm not an old school wrestling guy, but I get nervous when I see it, and it makes me wonder if it's an unnecessary risk for a company that markets itself on taking care of its wrestlers. Also, why do wrestling companies seem to end a lot of its shows before pay-per-views by emptying the locker room and seeing how many dudes they can fit in the ring fighting with each other, especially when Dynamite had so many other things they could have ended with? So for the first part of your question, with Tully and Jake, I think it's two different cases. Tully I'm almost okay with because it seems like he's in good health. Otherwise, I don't think he would be in the ring. I have no interest, I'm sorry, in seeing Jake Roberts in the ring at this point. I love Jake Roberts. He's a great asset to the company. He's a great manager for Lance Archer, but by no means should he be in the ring. I don't think AEW will put him in the ring, but he's taking bumps here and there. It seems like they're pretty safe bumps, so I'm okay with that. Tully didn't seem like, from what I can remember, took any crazy bumps last week on Dynamite, so I'm okay with that. If they were to have Ric Flair, for example, Ric Flair leaves WWE, they won't clear him, so they bring him over to WWE, or they bring him over to AEW, and he's working a match, then I would be a little more concerned. I know it's kind of the same case with Sting. WWE wouldn't clear him, AEW did. Sting, I have more faith that he wouldn't be doing this unless he knew that he could. He took some, not brutal bumps, but that power bomb a couple of weeks ago was pretty brutal. He was bumping around in there at Revolution on Saturday in the cinematic match, which I think is a perfect use of Sting. I'm more okay with Sting wrestling than a guy like Ric Flair, who I have zero faith would actually do it because he knows that it's like the right thing to do, and he's more so doing it for the paycheck. And I don't think Tony Khan would put him in the ring anyway. But yeah, like with people like Jake and Tully, it's a different situation. Jake does not appear to be in the greatest health from all things that he has said in past interviews. If he's not in there taking serious bumps, then I'm okay with it. If he wants to get a punch in or get knocked down, quote unquote, and he just kind of fumbles over, I'm okay with that to a certain extent, as long as it's not overdone. The Tully stuff, again, if he's in the ring every week or every other week, then it's a fucking problem. But if it's like a spectacle type thing to team with FTR in a match like last week, I'm totally okay with that. The second part of your question with the big locker room emptying brawls that we get at the end of wrestling shows, I'm almost okay with that in WWE when it comes before the Rumble, and I hate that trope. But we get it before the Rumble as a preview before the Rumble, and even that is kind of old at this point. It's actually very old at this point. When it happens at any other point during the year, whether it be AEW or WWE or whatever company, I completely agree. It's overdone. It serves no purpose. It's just not exciting. It's not entertaining. Last week when they did it on Dynamite, I didn't think it was a bad show. I thought it was a good show overall. That final segment, though, when everyone came out to promote the fucking Casino Tag Team Royale, who cares? Like, the Gun Club is out there. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean? Like, I thought that was stupid. I completely agree. They could have ended with, the mixed tag team match, or what came before the brawl. I don't even remember, to be honest with you. I don't even remember. But, the Bucks and MJF and Jericho segment was good. They could have closed off with that. Something with Omega and Moxley. I don't know. Anything but the dumbass brawl. I thought that was completely pointless. I agree. Brandon A. from YouTube, their first question was, top 5 favorite singles Christian matches. So the ones that came to mind were all really from his recent run. I didn't see any of his TNA work. I know I sound awful in saying that. I apologize. I got to go out of my way to watch his TNA work. I'm more interested to see his TNA work now that he's in AEW, he's outside of WWE. So I might go back on the Impact Plus network and watch some old TNA Christian matches. But as far as the WWE stuff is concerned, I'm going to throw one old match in there because I don't really remember a lot of his older matches from before he left WWE in 05. Other than the triple threat with Cena and Jericho, although that's not a singles match, but I guess you could say that one. I don't know if I'd put that on my list. His match with Jericho from WrestleMania 20, I thought was a really good, underrated match. I thought they had great chemistry, so that would be on my list. Him and Jack Swagger for the ECW Championship. They had a couple of matches in 2009, but my favorite of the bunch was probably at Backlash when he won the championship for the first time. That entire ECW run produced a lot of good matches. And I know it was a weird decision from the get-go for Christian to come back to fucking ECW of all places, but he had a great run there. Even the matches with Tommy Dreamer were really good. The ladder match with Shelton Benjamin was great. I didn't watch that one live because I didn't order TLC or watch it online or whatever. I saw it years later, but that was a really, really good match. He had a couple of good matches on TV with Yoshitatsu, with Zack Ryder I really enjoyed. The William Regal match at Breaking Point I thought was great. So I don't know if I would put those in my top 5, but the Swagger one would be up there. The Del Rio match, of course, where he won the World Heavyweight Championship from Del Rio, not from Del Rio, but in the ladder match at Extreme Rules 2011. I would probably put their SummerSlam 2013 match on there too as an honorable mention. I really, really like that match. That might have been his last truly great match in WWE before he retired in 2014. But he had the Del Rio match from 2011 when he won the World Heavyweight Championship. And then I'm putting 2 Randy Orton matches on here. One from SummerSlam 2011, the No Holds Barred match, the World Heavyweight Championship. I thought that was a great match. But even more than that, the Over the Limit match. Of all the matches they had in 2011, which is one of my favorite feuds of all time, and I've told Christian that to his face, and he really appreciated that. We had a great conversation about it a couple of years ago. My favorite match of the bunch they had that year was that Over the Limit, when he was still a babyface, and oh my god, it was a great fucking match. I love that match. So the 2 Orton matches, the Swagger match, the Jericho match, and the Del Rio match are my top 5 favorite Christian singles matches. You also asked what my top 5 favorite Christian tag team matches were, and I'm going to be completely honest with you, brother, I really can't think of any. Outside of like the TLC matches, and you said I can only include 2 ladder matches of any kind. God, I have no idea. I also forgot to mention the match that he had with Edge. What was it, No Mercy 2001? I thought that was a great match too. But anyway, so the tag team matches, I mean, there's a lot that he had with like the Dudley Boys and other teams like that. You're saying favorite. You're not saying best. My favorite Christian tag team matches were all the ones that he had with Edge against the Hardys and the Dudleys. And you said only 2 ladder matches, so I guess of all the TLC matches they had, probably 1 and 2. At SummerSlam 2000, or maybe, WrestleMania 2000, and then WrestleMania 17. Those are the only other matches I can remember. I know he had other tag team matches, but none that really stood out as being my favorite, at least in my opinion. He said, what meals would make for the perfect breakfast, lunch, and dinner for you? If you don't have a big distinction for lunch and dinner, make the lunch dish the perfect sandwich. Health is not a factor, he said, just taste. I love questions like this. I don't want to go off for too long about this. We have other questions before I wrap it up soon, unfortunately. I got to keep this one short, but breakfast, I don't know. I'm a big waffles guy. I like pancakes. I like waffles. I like a good egg sandwich. Alexis makes really, really good egg sandwiches, so probably that. There's a local breakfast place near me that sells cinnamon French toast. I think it's French toast. But yeah, it's cinnamon, like cinnamon butter. Holy shit, it is fucking good. It is fucking good. I can go for like a good bagel. Oh my god, at Endicott, where I went to college. RJ's going to know what I'm talking about. There was this place called Einstein's. It was like a breakfast place on campus, and it's still open. It wasn't open the last time I visited a few months ago. They sold... I never used to like bagels either. I never used to like bagels, but I tried one from this place before because he got them from there, so I tried it. Holy shit, they were fucking good. So a good bagel with cream cheese on it, like a sesame seed bagel, or an everything bagel rather, is just delicious. So that with like maybe a side of I love hash browns. This is going to sound weird, but I love the hash browns from McDonald's. I think they're good. So, one of those, or bacon. Bacon would be great too. For lunch, I don't know if I've said this here on the show before, but everyone who knows me well enough is well aware that I love chicken. I'm a big, big chicken guy, so I'm going to save the chicken parm for dinner. I love a good chicken parm sub grinder with cheese and sauce, obviously. Nothing really else on it. I like Subway for lunch sometimes, the occasional McDonald's. If I'm going out to a restaurant, probably a buffalo chicken wrap. I love chicken wraps. If it's from Subway, then I like a good turkey footlong with onion, lettuce, tomato, mayo, and lettuce, tomato, mayo, and some onions. I've started to get on there as well, and that's really, really good. So, that would probably be the lunch. If not Subway, then a buffalo chicken wrap. And then for dinner, a good chicken parm grinder. So that would be, those would be my perfect breakfast, lunch, and dinner options. He said, speaking of food, if I or anyone came to visit Connecticut, not sure why you would, but if you did, what restaurants, you say, would you recommend? Also, what signature dishes does your state have, if any? Are they any good? Not really. I can't think of one signature dish that Connecticut has that other states that I visited don't. Like, I know New York is known for its cheesecake. Chicago is known for its pizza. For its pizza, rather. I don't think Connecticut is known for shit. So, I don't know. If there's any places if you come to Connecticut, you gotta go here. Modern pizza, I know there's other places that are known for pizza too. Connecticut pizza is probably the best thing that we're known for. Modern pizza in New Haven is great. I've been going there since I was a kid. I haven't been there in a few years. I don't go there often anymore, but that's a great place to get pizza. I went to a place with Alexis a couple of months ago in the summer called Pizza Works. It's in, not Old Saybrook. It's one of the, I think it might be Old Saybrook, actually. They had fantastic pizza. I got barbecue chicken pizza. Oh my God, it was amazing. So probably get pizza if you come here. There's also that place where the movie was filmed. Holy shit, I don't remember what it's called. You might know what I'm talking about, but there was a movie filmed here, and it's like a pizza place. It's in Mystic Pizza. I'm a fucking idiot. That sells great pizza, so probably that. Other than that, not really. I'm a big chain guy. I like Red Robin. I like 99. I don't know if only the Northeast has that, but Red Robin I love. I had my top. Oh, Chili's. I'm a big Chili's guy too. So those are my top three food chain restaurants. First and Last is a nice restaurant here in Connecticut. I don't know if it's elsewhere. It probably is. There was one closer to me for a while before it closed. The one nearest to me now is 45 minutes away. But yeah, First and Last had some good stuff, good cheesecake too. So yeah, those would be my recommendations. But again, why come to Connecticut? There's nothing here. So unless you live here, and I know the headquarters for WWE here are here as well. You can't, visit them as part of a tour or anything. So why even bother coming here? I would stay. It's a nice state, but there's no real reason to visit. I'll tell you that much. He said, if you had to rank the 8 AEW pay-per-views so far, what would they be? What order would they be in? So over the 8 pay-per-views they've done so far, I kind of did this off the top of my head real quickly. Revolution 2020, I think, is the best pay-per-view they've done so far. I've seen other people say that. I agree. I thought last year's Revolution pay-per-view was great. So that would probably be my number one. Double or Nothing 19 at number 2. I was there, but, it was a very historical pay-per-view. People loved it. It wasn't the greatest pay-per-view of the century by any means. I had my issues with it after it ended, even though I was there. But it was still just a great experience to be there for it. A hot crowd, great environment, some great matches. So Double or Nothing 19 at number 2. Full Gear 2020. I thought last year's Full Gear pay-per-view was fucking great. Some a great card from top to bottom. Every match mattered, and it was really, really good. It ranged from great to good, good to great to amazing. So Full Gear 2020 would be number 2. Double or Nothing last year. I know these are all the pandemic pay-per-views, but I feel like their pay-per-views have actually gotten better with crowds for the most part. I'll get to Revolution 2021 in a second, but Double or Nothing last year was also another really good show. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Stadium Stampede was great. Moxley and Brody Lee was really good. MJF and Jungle Boy, the Casino Ladder match. I enjoyed Double or Nothing last year. All Out 2019, I feel like it's a little low at number 5, but I honestly just don't remember a lot about that pay-per-view. I remember I wasn't there, although I was in Chicago. Alexis and I watched it from our hotel room. It was just a really long day, and I was fucking tired. I remember the Bucks and the Lucha Bros in the ladder match being great. I remember Paige and Jericho. I know Omega and Pac had a match because Omega and Moxley got canceled. So, I don't know. It would probably be, I don't know. It was a good show, but it wouldn't be near the top of my list. Full Gear 2019, again, I don't really remember a lot about it. I remember being a good show, but nothing overly special. Jericho and Rhodes was great. And then Moxley and Omega was kind of polarizing. I enjoyed the show overall, though. Revolution this year would be second to last. I thought this year's show was good. Disappointing, I think, overall a little bit, considering how heavily they hyped it up. It was a good show, but compared to all the other ones, I'd probably put it near the bottom. And then All Out 2020 was by far the worst pay-per-view they've done yet. By AEW standards, by far the worst pay-per-view they've done yet. Not to say it was terrible, but like, oh my god, I just remember watching that show with RJ and thinking, what the fuck is going on? Like, there was just so many head-scratching moments, matches I didn't care about. It went way too long. Yeah, just not a great show by AEW standards. At Kid Wicked from Twitter, where do you think Christian slots in AEW, and will he attract new viewers? No, I don't think he'll attract new viewers, but again, I mean, will anyone attract new viewers? That's the question. Really, what you're asking is, will Christian be a difference maker? The answer is no, but I think he can be a great asset to the company. Right off the bat, was he worthy of the hype they were giving the guy? The answer is no, and that's coming from a massive Christian fan. But I do think he can be a great asset there. I've kind of actually warmed up to the idea of Christian being in AEW over the last couple of days. You know, I, too, like a lot of other people, and I'll get to Sal's question later on that kind of addressed this, I was disappointed that he went to AEW just because I feel like he could have finished his career out in WWE, reunited with Edge, and we got that great moment of the Rumble. You know, that would have been cool as a fan, but when AEW, he definitely gets more creative freedom, can have the matches that he's capable of, not be worried about being slotted on fucking main event, being a full-timer, not just a part-timer, because he knows he can go. The Renee Young podcast, Renee Paquette's podcast with him yesterday was really good, definitely a must-listen. On the shorter side, but it's definitely worth checking out. But I do think he can be a great asset to the roster, like I said, and have great matches with a lot of different people. My question still stands, though. I don't know. I feel like, what do you do with him? That's the question. What do you do with him? Does he feud with Jon Moxley, who I know is really high on him? Do you bring him in as a babyface? I would assume so. He can be a great heel at some point. Will he be in the TNT title picture? Probably. I mean, I just don't want this guy to get lost in the shuffle. Like, you bring in Sting, I mean, he's not going to get lost in the shuffle. It's fucking Sting. Christian is a guy, and I don't know if he should be world champion, but, like, do you have him face Omega? That's another question. Do you have him face Omega for the world title? Maybe, is it a full-on program? I don't know. I'm not sure. Could that be the Double or Nothing match? Maybe. Do you have him face Darby Allin? Do you have him face fucking MJF? Like, that's the question. I really don't know. And I hope they utilize him properly, because I feel like Miro, for example, is a perfect example. Is a great example of a guy that has so much potential. Maybe not AEW World Champion, but like they could be doing so much more with him than they currently are. And that just kind of goes back to having a bloated roster right now. They have almost too many stars and they know what to do with. They're quickly approaching WWE territory, where they're just signing people up, and that's great. But unless they use these people, and they don't have enough TV time to use all these people, because they don't have two brands like WWE, then it becomes a problem. So I assume he's more of an upper mid-carder. Maybe not full-on main eventer, and I think Christian is great, but you got to remember, too, the guy's 47. So I don't know if he should be main eventing at this point. Maybe 10 years ago at this point, probably not. Will he attract new viewers? No, but again, I do think he can be a lot of fun in AEW if he's used properly. That's the big asterisk there. At Iwagu91, do you feel Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander should retain the Raw Tag Team titles against the New Day next week? Yes, their reign, I know it's been going on for 3 months now, but they're only really just getting started, and I do not need to see the New Day as 11-time Tag Team Champions, at least not yet. He said, who do you think will beat Kenny Omega for the World Championship, the AEW World Title? Definitely Adam Page. It may not be Double or Nothing. It might not be at, All Out. It might be at Full Gear, but I think it has to be, and it will be Adam Page. It only makes sense. It only makes sense. Who do you think will beat the Young Bucks for the AEW World Tag Team Championship? Also, do you think that Britt Baker will be the one to dethrone Hikaru Shida as the AEW Women's World Champion? I do in the Britt Baker question. I do think she will be. I do think she should be the one to beat Shida for that championship. For the Bucks, I don't know. I would say maybe Private Party. They've kind of lost their way a little bit lately. They've lost a bit more than they should. But they have a history with the Bucks. They own a win over them. They have great chemistry. They're heels now with Matt Hardy. I can't think of another team in that division that hasn't had a run yet that deserves it. Like FTR has already lost to the Bucks. They already had Santana and Ortiz lose to the Bucks. I don't think Pac and Ray Phoenix should be the ones to beat the Bucks. So I'm going to say Private Party. Beyond them, though, I honestly don't know. They have a lot of great teams, so I'm not really sure. At noob_n_co 1991, what were your thoughts on the ending of the barbed wire death match at AEW Revolution? It fucking sucked. The match itself, I thought, was actually pretty good and exceeded my expectations. The actual pay-per-view ending was terrible. I mean, I literally laughed out loud for a solid 2 to 3 minutes with Alexis's brother. We just couldn't believe how dumb that was. And I had a good laugh about it over text and on Twitter with RJ and other people like that, so that was terrible. The actual match, again, I thought was good. I don't want to see another barbed wire match again, personally. But I thought it was a good show overall, or a good match overall. That was better than I thought it would be. But I will be content if I never live to see another barbed wire match again. His second question, do you think the whole Bray Wyatt, Alexa Bliss, Randy Orton storyline is getting interesting or getting to the point where it is getting boring? Definitely the latter. And listen, I've been one of the few defenders of that storyline since the beginning. And I'm actually still enjoying the feud to a certain extent. It's getting to the point now where it's like, okay, we've had Alexa Bliss fuck with Orton now for months. Can we please move on? I mean, just bring back Bray Wyatt, and maybe they're waiting until WrestleMania. But, just bring back the fucking Fiend. I mean, you don't have to have him wrestle until WrestleMania, but they're doing the same shit every single week at this point. And the black blood or oil or whatever the fuck he's coughing up is stupid. It's really stupid. The actual feud, I don't mind, like I said. If you do a Firefly Funhouse match, awesome. But, I don't know. Some of the stuff in this feud has been stupid. And some people will completely shit on it, and if you do, that's fine. I don't blame you. But yeah, they need to get going here and start building to the WrestleMania match that I assume is coming. At E13A from Twitter, people are comparing AEW to TNA again, but what does TNA 2.0 really mean? How do you define TNA? It's just one big fuck up. I mean, TNA, for as many great years as they had and many great stars that they created and many great matches they hosted, it will always be remembered, not Impact, TNA, as just a fuck-up company. Maybe even more so than WCW, because at least WCW had, their peak years where they were beating WWE. TNA never even had that. I mean, the closest they came was in 2010 for a night when they brought in Hulk Hogan, and that was it. Literally, people don't say, oh, LOL WCW or LOL NXT. They say LOL TNA, because they did so much dumb shit in front of and behind the cameras that it's a stench I don't know if they will ever completely rid themselves of. As great as Impact is today and one of the better shows that I've seen every single week wrestling-wise, they will never fully shed that TNA stench. I mean, that's just a fact. So when you see stuff like that happen in Revolution, I don't know if that was the plan to do the dumbass sparklers or if they just had a botch. Either way, it was funny. They're not in TNA territory. Not by a long shot. But if you do more shit like that, you are. When you bring in more ex-WWE people every other month, you definitely are approaching TNA territory. Hopefully we don't get to TNA 2.0 territory. Sal, at the Wrestle Guy from Twitter, his first question was, do you find it odd Christian went to AEW? He was in the Rumble and had the moment with Edge, and then WWE had just nothing planned for the guy? I guess selfishly I would have liked his last run in WWE, but I just find it hard to believe WWE had nothing they wanted to do with him. I mean, yeah, that's the big question, and I feel like he didn't really shed a lot of light on that on the Renee Young podcast yesterday. It sounded like, I don't know what the timeline was, because he came back in the Rumble. Tony Khan said and Christian said that he approached Tony about going to AEW. It wasn't the other way around. Tony probably assumed he was staying in WWE. I mean, why wouldn't he, Maybe it was they just didn't offer him enough money, or he just figured, listen, where am I going to get the best run for myself? And then Christian and Edge would have been great, but beyond the reunion, again, it's another question. I don't want to sound hypocritical in saying that I want him in WWE, but what do you do with him? Does he end up in the IC title picture, the US title picture? Does he end up right back on fucking main event? What do you do with the guy? That's the real question. So, if he feels like he can really go as a full-timer in AEW, then more power to him. If he's happy, then I'm happy. I also selfishly wanted him in WWE for the Edge stuff alone, if not just getting his final run there. But if we're not going to get that, again, that's completely okay. So we'll see where they go with it. But I'm looking forward to seeing what he can bring to the table in AEW. Again, I don't think he's going to be a difference maker. But if they use him properly, again, that's a big if, hopefully, and he doesn't get lost in the shuffle, and he has some good feuds and matches, then it'll prove to be a good decision. So I hope I'm proven wrong and he goes in there and has a great run for himself. And he ends up making the decision worth it to sign with them over WWE. His second question, what do you think about all the hate for McIntyre? It just amazes me how fast people turn on wrestlers when just last year everyone was buzzing about the guy. He was the hottest thing going. You know, someone mentioned that last week about Drew and all the hate he's been getting. I haven't seen it. Maybe just because I'm not on Twitter during the shows as much. I don't know. I haven't really seen it. But yeah, people are just fucking fickle. He has done nothing. Even the booking of McIntyre has done nothing to suggest that he should be hated right now. I mean, if he beats Bobby Lashley for the belt at Mania, then I can kind of see some booze, sipping in there a little bit. I could see that a little bit. Just not because of McIntyre, but because they should not have taken the belt off of Bobby so early. But it hasn't happened yet, so I can't complain about it. But other than that, there's no real reason to boo the guy. So yeah, the hate for him is completely unjustified. People are just fucking fickle, and they want something new every 5 seconds. I guarantee you people will be over the Bobby Lashley push within the next couple of months, if not 6 months maximum. I guarantee it, because that's how WWE wrestling fans are just in general. And his last question, do you think Fastlane should be done away with? It seems like a glorified filler for WrestleMania season, and almost in a sense takes away from WrestleMania build-up focus. WrestleMania is only 3 weeks after Fastlane. It just doesn't seem like enough build time in between both shows. How many times have I said here and other places that the in-between pay-per-views between WrestleMania and Royal Rumble are completely fucking pointless? We don't need Elimination Chamber, to be honest with you. We don't need Fastlane. Just do the big matches on the shows themselves, on Raw, on SmackDown. We have never had a pay-per-view, I don't think, 3 weeks out from WrestleMania. That is completely fucking ridiculous. Because it just puts the entire card in disarray. It's just a mess. They don't know what they're doing at Fastlane. They don't know what they're doing at WrestleMania. It's just the entire creative process right now is a complete mess. And it sucks. So, I mean, there's some good stuff going on, but especially on the Raw side, they clearly have no idea what they're doing long term. So, yeah, get rid of Fastlane, get rid of Elimination Chamber. There is just zero time to properly build up to WrestleMania at that point. Next question comes from @Scarlet1 from Twitter. Their question was, Darby Allin said in an interview that people who only know wrestling are boring. Is he right? I don't know if he's right or wrong. I mean, that's purely subjective. I mean, yeah, I mean, if there are people who only know wrestling, could they be boring? Sure. Could they be exciting? Yeah, I mean, I think you sent in this question last week, and I didn't answer it just because there really is no answer to it. I mean, I don't know if I would necessarily agree with that. I don't know if I know anyone who knows only wrestling. Obviously, I know a lot of wrestling. I don't know if that's the only thing that I know, but I don't know if I would go that far as myself is concerned. But for other people, yeah, I'm not exactly sure. I didn't read the interview that you sent me, to be honest with you. But I don't know if he was referring to people who only know wrestling, like are only in wrestling, but don't know, like didn't go to school or aren't interested in other things. I'm not exactly sure what he's referencing. Again, it's not a right or wrong answer. It's more so, I don't know if I would necessarily agree with that. It depends on the person. But yeah, honestly, I don't really know how to answer your question. Best and worst of AEW Revolution 2021. The best, I thought the cinematic match stole the show. Honestly, I really enjoyed that. I thought they did a great job with it. Everyone had their time to shine. It was shot really well. Some of the stunts they did were great. The glass shattering one where they tossed Darby into like a window pane or something like that of glass, that looked a little reckless. But other than that, the whole match I thought was great. I really enjoyed Sting and Darby Allin against Brian Cage and Ricky Starks. The ladder match was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed that. I have seen way too many ladder matches from WWE and AEW in the last year or two. But it was still a lot of fun. Having Ethan Page in there was cool, and I thought it delivered on the whole. And the opener I thought was also really good. Typical Young Bucks match, but if you don't like that type of stuff, that's totally fine. I could see why you wouldn't like it. But for everyone else, I thought it was a really fun opener. And again, not Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Hangman, Adam Page level from last year's Revolution, but still a really good opener. One of the better Jericho matches I've seen in a while. And MJF had a great showing as well. So the outcome was what it needed to be. Still the tag team champions, the Young Bucks. But yeah, I thought that was a great opener. The worst of the show, I just thought the Casino Tag Team Royale was a mess. I really did. They have a lot of great teams, but a lot of those teams were filler. It was just like this I don't know, this mess of a Royal Rumble, just way too convoluted. Way too much going on. Some of the moments were fun. I thought the finishing sequence was great. Overall, though, did not need to happen. Ate up too much time and just felt like a waste. Miro and Sabian against best friends, who cares? It felt like a Dynamite match. I'm glad Miro won. I thought the fire that he showed was great, but I just can't bring myself to care about this feud anymore. I mean, it really should have ended a while ago with the wedding, and I feel like it's not over yet anyway. I feel like they're building to Miro and Orange Cassidy, and that's fine, but I want to see Miro separate himself from Sabian and Penelope Ford, and it looks like they're headed in that direction, and that's great, but the match itself was just, who cares? It did not need to happen, or save it for the buy-in. Like, it felt like a buy-in type match. And honestly, I think people are definitely going to disagree with me on this one, but I did not like Shida and Mizunami at all. I thought it was a well-wrestled match. It wasn't terrible, but like they went for way too many near falls, and they try to make it out to be like this epic encounter. I don't care. I mean, Mizunami had a lot of good matches in the tournament. I'm not denying that, but there was no story there for the most part, and I thought the video package was well done that preceded the match. But it just felt like it went way too long. It was hard to care. We knew Shida was going to win. I was not a fan of that match. Maybe they could do it on Dynamite, on pay-per-view. No thanks. I wasn't really excited for it, and it's not like the match was this great to really get me to care about Mizunami more than I already did. I felt like they got too ambitious for their own good, and it just made for this overhyped. Not overhyped. It wasn't really hyped up at all. It was made official days in advance. It felt like they were going for like a WrestleMania main event, even though the match had like no story, and I just couldn't bring myself to care. Like all the kickouts with Shida hitting Mizunami with all the knees, and Mizunami kept kicking out. Yeah, no thanks. Their last question, is Christian truly elite? Is he elite? I don't know if I would go that far. I love Christian. I think he's a great performer. I think he's one of the best to ever do it. Maybe not top 10, but Christian is an outstanding performer. I mean, it really is what your definition of the word elite is. Is he one of the greatest of all time? Arguably, maybe. I don't know. I mean, is he elite? Again, I don't know if I would go that far. I'm not really sure. Honestly, I'm not really sure. But I am glad to see him in AEW, and we'll see how he does. At Misdemeanor6 from Twitter, how long is it going to be before someone wins or loses by DQ in AEW? They did do a couple of countouts and DQs with Cutler and Avalon on Dark last year. Who cares? They did one on Dynamite in the Iron Man match between Pac and Omega over a year ago, and Pac lost the fall by DQ. That was the only DQ they've ever done on a major show, not counting Dark. I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong on that. I'm not complaining. I think it's great they haven't done any DQs or countouts and shit like that, or no contest and whatever. I complain about a lot of AEW stuff, a lot like I do with WWE, but one thing that AEW has over WWE and even NXT is that they don't do DQs and countouts really at all. And I think that's great. Sometimes you gotta do that kind of stuff, but I would rather them not do it than overdo it, And their last question, last of the episode, when do you think Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus will win the tag team belts? Both guys are popular and good enough now. I don't know. I don't know if they'll be the ones to take the titles off of the Bucks. I didn't say them earlier just because I feel like they're not at that level. They've lost to FTR a bunch. They lost to the Bucks, I think, at All Out last year. So it's not like there's this storyline reason for why they should be in that spot. I don't know. I think Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus are great, and I would love to see them become champions at some point, absolutely. I'm a big Jurassic Express fan. I don't know when it's going to happen, though. It might not be for a while. It probably won't be for a while, but I would hope they win the tag titles before they branch off and do their own thing, and Jungle Boy inevitably becomes a single star, because that's coming, and he had a great showing against Dax Harwood about a month ago. But they need to win the tag titles first before they can break up, which hopefully isn't anytime soon. I don't give a fuck about Marco Stunt, but Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus are fantastic. And I don't know if they'll be next in line for a run with the championships, but hopefully at some point, because like you said, they're popular, and hopefully when we have more fans in attendance, the pop will be even bigger. So if they did it now, the pop would be great, but we got to get more fans in the building cheering for Jurassic Express like when AEW first started, for them to win the championships and for it to be a big moment as it should be. And that does it, guys, for episode 380 here today of #AskGSM for Wednesday, March 10th, 2021. Again, I appreciate you guys allowing me to do a shorter show this week. not really allowing me, but for kind of bearing with me through the shorter show this week, I guess is what I should say, because I was going to do it anyway, but I got a lot of stuff going on today. It's just been a busy day, so I appreciate you guys sending in the questions. As always, they are great. I promise I will probably, more likely than not, unless something comes up, take more time to answer your questions next week. But I think I got through all of them, and you guys sent in some really, really good questions, so thank you again. And one more cheap plug, again, check out my exclusive interview with Adam Cole, baby. I'm on the channel from earlier today, and it's on DDT.com, dailyDDT.com as I speak right now, in article form and audio form. It's right here on the channel, talking all about tonight's NXT Championship match with Finn Balor. He talks a lot about Undisputed Era's breakup, dream matches he still wants to have, wanting to regain the NXT Championship, main roster at some point, Road Dogg's comments regarding his size from last year. That sparked some controversy. So we talk all about that stuff and much, much more. So check it out right now here on the channel, and please subscribe. I cannot stress it enough for more daily content and exclusive interviews every single week. Also, be sure to send in a question here to the show by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/graham.gsm.matthews. Drop a comment to the post that I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section on this very video. I'll include your question in next week's edition. Have a great one, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'm Graham GSM Matthews. We'll catch you next week for a very special St. Patrick's Day episode, hashtag AskGSM, and I'll catch your ass down the road.